So when you say no to a patient who's asking for a particular type of procedure, what is their reaction? Do they just go to someone else?
No, I think, what happens is mostly people who come to me are one word of mouth. Then when they come, the first day, I never jump up and do anything. So it's more of a consultation, by which time we've already built a rapport. So it's not that I say no and they jump. They always end up saying, no, doc, you do. They're more, most of them, when I say no, they're forcing me and begging me and coaxing me. And no, I don't, because the first reason that I've said no is because it may not be either good for them right then, or I think that this face with this nose will look good, but the what they are asking will not look good unless I do maybe 20 other things. Some that I can do, some maybe I can't even do. Right? There are so otherwise every face today, oh my god, given the money, the exposure, and the willingness of people to do things, everybody would look exactly like, for example, I'm just saying the Aishwarya Rai, who was the epitome of beauty at one point, everybody would look like clones. Why they're not even able to do, even if they go through million surgeries, is because it is impossible. Certain things cannot be done, certain things can be done. So why I end up not wanting to do is because I have the expertise or the experience to know this on this will not look good, number one. Two, everybody's face evolves as they age and it changes. But certain things, for example, filler, one may think will just last for, let's say, 6 months to a year. But no, we've had studies which show that it has lasted 20 years on somebody's face, or many people's
Oh
face.
my God, where does it go?
It just stays there.
Then why do they need to get it refilled?
So that's what say they may have never got it refilled. But for now, for the people who say, why I say no is, and then the face is changing, right? So if that filler is sitting there and if the face changes, I know next 10 years, this is not going to look good. On the face, that is going to be her future face. All that vision I have, which I may not be able to convince the person now, because at that moment they come to me with, but I need this lips or I need this nose. So at that time, most people I try and talk sense, or now I've started saying, this is what I think. You think about it. If you still need it, let's do it day after tomorrow. Most times they come day after tomorrow and they say, thank you, doc. I don't think I want to do it. Or then there is the other case where they say, yes, I thought about it. Maybe we will do just a little bit like the way you told me. So then there are certain things I know just a little bit will look good. For example, a lip. I know just a little bit. I've given in for so many people, and then both of us have said, yeah, actually, it's looking beautiful. So we end up putting in just a little bit on the cheek. These little bits I end up doing sometimes. So they are happy. I am happy. I'm not pushing them beyond the cliff. I also know till what I have done, where I know how much retribution is there, or I know how to mold it as we go along. So that is where I take a calculated decision. Then there may be very, very, very few, like I think I can count them on my fingertips in my 22 years of practice, not even a full hand. Maybe I can remember two people offhand have just said, but I want it. And I've said, which means I'm not the right doctor for you.
Okay. That's really cool of you to do. I feel like people,
Static judgment doesn't match.
yeah,
And if you're not trusting the doctor, the expert that you have chosen,
yeah,
then you have lost faith in her already, right?
exactly.
Then why am I even going to? Because even after I do it, you will still be an unhappy patient. I know
Yeah,
that. So my judge, then what am I going to answer? Because I didn't do what I thought will be right.
yeah.
And I bent and did what you thought will be right. When it is not beautiful, what will I say?
Do they ever go to someone else and come back to you with a botched
That
face?
many times has happened. Not because I've said no, because they find me expensive.
Okay.
They come to me, they find me expensive, then they go hunting and somebody else says, I'll do this for this much. Then they do. Some maybe success stories, which I don't know, but the ones which have come back have obviously been botched faces. Then I keep telling them, now instead of doing this much and then this and then this and this, by the time remove, undo, redo, correct, the damage to your tissue is so huge. Plus, you've spent 3 times the money. Instead, in the first place, had you gone to an expert, bit the bullet, played the price, you would have done it. And when you are not thinking of how much you're spending, for example, on a bag or on a holiday or on a piece of cloth or dress, why are you thinking so hard for what's actually getting into your body? Is what I keep telling patients. But yes, to each its own. If they say, I don't want to pay this much, you don't want to pay this much. There are other people who do maybe good job, decent job, great job at a different money. Each one knows why they're charging a price.
Right.
And if they've survived with still a thriving practice, they won't be able to survive that if they're unduly expensive. One is value to the service, one is horrendously expensive. I think I'm value to the service and I know the value I bring onto the table. So I charge a certain amount, which I'm unapologetic about.
And you should be. Because I feel like if I go to Bangalore and I talk to my non-entertainment industry friends, because they're not from Bombay and it's not so normalized there, this is not even a concept they think of. Like they will go to the dermatologist to get the glow, to get even skin texture.
But that glow and that even skin texture needs a structural support underneath. What is it that makes you glow? If the skin is well stretched on the face, the light bounces off evenly, is when it results in a glow on the face. Now, for the skin to be stretched well, if you have a loss of fat, deep cheek fat as you keep growing older, if there is a fold on your nasolabial, there are multiple folds on the skin which makes the light bounce in various directions. If the skin is too dry, if you're having acne scars, the light is bouncing in various directions and it never looks like a glowing skin. If your collagen is fully deteriorated, the subcutaneous fat, which is the fat under the skin, which deteriorates as you age, is fully gone. Skin will never look healthy and dewy. So just for the achieving the result of the glow, I may have to use the filler. I may have to use something
because
else.
the skin needs it.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily only to construct a face or change a feature. This is also important to preserve a facial structure.
I think this is something you should definitely talk about more, because my personal perception of filler is change. It's not betterment. And I feel like most people that we see on screen, when we see change, we think filler. You know, which is why when we see glow or just
They're not
whatever,
thinking
nobody's
filler.
thinking filler.
And you're thinking natural,
We're
but that
thinking
is
natural.
filler.
Yes, that's what I wanted to get to. I just wanted you to come to it.
Yeah. So I could have done filler. I could have simply given a great skincare regime if they don't need a filler. We could have made sure that we have given a set of supplements which actually makes them glow from within and cleaner and brighter from within. That could have been the case. It could have been some energy-based devices, let's say some laser, some radio frequency, which has actually kick-started their own collagen or taken care of the deeper pigmentation which is making them glow. So when you look at a word called glow, that's actually a very, very loaded word for dermatology. The glow is an end result of so many things, including your internal well-being and your mental happiness. So it cannot be achieved with just creams.